Dear students, in the last class we have studied a magnetic effect of electric current, right? And we solved some of the problems and we have found out some answers, right? But in this regard, while giving the direction of magnetic field and direction of the force experienced by current carrying conductor in a magnetic field, one of the question, there will be some confusion. I have given in a different way the answer. I'll read out the question. I give the correct clarification and the direction about the three field, magnetic field, electric field and the force experienced by this one. Then we will go to the new lesson. Okay, children, that is the question I read is, a positively charged particle, that is alpha particle, projected towards west is deflected towards north by a magnetic field. The direction of magnetic field, I have given it as downward. It is not correct answer. What is the answer? We will see today. Okay. Now, what I did is, I have shown the direction on the blackboard, right? Then I have turned it this side and I have used my hand, so there will be some confusion, because you have to take the direction in one side. If you turn this way, the direction will be different. If you turn this way, it is quite opposite. That's why I made it the wrong answer. I have given that one, so I will give the correct explanation in this class first, then we'll go to the new lesson. So what you have to use your left hand, then what they are given, positively charged particle, the direction of positively charged particle, we have to take the direction of current, and you have learned that the middle finger, the central finger indicates the direction of electric current, right? So this you have to hold towards it will project it towards west. Now, if you stand here, if you take this as a plane like this way, so you have to take this as north and this as south. Okay, this plane you have to take, and in this plane you have to use your finger, north, south, and to your left side it is west, and to your right side it is east. So when you hold like this in this plane, the positively charged particle is moving towards west. So this is the direction of electric current. So this is the direction of this one, electric current. West is here, so I should fold this, my finger, this is central finger, which is the direction of electric current, towards the west. Okay, then in this plane, this is the plane I have to consider. Now it is deflected towards north by the one magnetic field is there here, it deflects towards, this is the term showing the direction of deflection. So this direction is north, this is south, west, east. Okay, so a charged, positively charged moving towards west, it is the direction of current indicated by the central finger, and it is deflected towards north, this is the north direction, which is indicated by my thumb here. And what is the direction of magnetic field? So it is north, south, west, east. So it has no direction to mention now, because this plane we have taken, it is opposite now, perpendicular. So we have to mention either it is upward or downward. That is the answer is needed here. That this is the magnetic field, the forefinger indicates magnetic field. So where it is indicating now, upward. So that is the answer. The answer is D, upward. Okay, I have given it downward because I have taken the direction here and I explained here. So that is why some confusion was there. So that is the correct answer. Correct it. Okay. Now that is the aspects. I hope you little better understood the direction, how to find the direction, because that type problem they may ask in the exam, 1 mark question. Okay. Today we will take a new chapter about very important elements which will play very important role, because they will play very important role in our daily life, that is about metals and non-metals. Both will play very important role. So we will learn more about metals and non-metals. if you see this universe, it is made up of so many things, okay, and these things are made up of some 118 elements. If you see this universe, it is made up of by just using 118 elements, okay. Now, what are elements? You have studied it, we will go through it. Elements are the matter, the substance, the objects. If you take that one, if you go on, make it into smaller and smaller unit, if you divide, the smallest unit we will have, we call it as atom, right? Now this atom, if you consider in any element, they are identical. Same type of atoms that element is made up of. Example, if you take copper, it is an element, because if you go on divide it, the smallest particle you will have is copper atom, and if you take that element or if you take that copper, all the small particle, the atoms are copper atoms and identical, all are identical. It is just made up of one type of atom, only one type of atoms, namely copper atoms. So copper is an element. Or if you take iron, it is also an element, because iron is made up of only iron atom. If you take hydrogen gas, hydrogen, it has only one type of atoms in it, that is hydrogen atom. Oxygen, it is another element. Gold, it is an element. Silver, another element. Lead, there are, in this manner, there are 118 elements are there, okay. Now, if there are so many things, what we will do, we will study it by grouping it, classifying it properly. That is the better understanding, learning of any matter, any things. So in this regard, the scientists have so many elements, they have it. To study them, the different reactions, what they did the classification of these elements. So whatever things they had, they did the classification of these elements, 108 elements. They are made up of same type of atoms, one type of atoms, okay. Now these elements, they classified into different main two groups. First, basically they did the main two groups, that is metals and non-metals. What are metals and what are non-metals, that we'll study in this chapter, and the properties, chemical properties of metals and non-metals, then the reactivity, how it will react with the oxygen, how they will react with the water, and how they react with the acids. So these are the things, chemical reactions we'll study. Then we will see how they are reactive, the reactivity nature, how it differs. All metals or non-metals are not the same type, their reactivity varies. So that series, reactivity series, how it varies, which is more reactive, which is less reactive, that we will study. Then when we'll get these metals, we have to separate it from its ore. Minerals will get it, these metals in the form of minerals, and some of them we will take it in the form of ore, which these minerals you will use it for economical, you will get profit if you separate from these minerals, the metals, they are called ore. So if you take the ore, which method we will use to separate the metals from this ore, so that we will study at the end of this chapter. So these are the things we have to study in this new chapter. Now first we'll study what is the main difference between metals and non-metals. So metals, if you take, we'll study first properties of metals. Now which are the metals? Can you think some of the metals which we'll use in our day-to-day life? Right. Some answers you thought correctly. Gold, it's a metal. silver is a metal, iron, copper. If you have seen 118 elements, much elements are metals and few of them are non-metals, and later in classification of this as the time proceeds, it is the just basic classification they did. They did few more properties of the elements which are not metals, which are not non-metals. In between the property of metals and non-metals, some elements they have, we call it as metalloids, and we have some gases which won't react with any element, inert gases they won't come under metals, non-metals or metalloids, so they will studied under noble gases, inert gases, so they are belongs to separate group. So basically there are 4 groups: metals, non-metals, metalloids and inert gases, noble gases. So we won't, 2 groups we won't take now, only we will concentrate on this main 2 groups, metals and non-metals. In the metals we have iron, copper, silver, gold, magnesium, mercury, many are there, aluminium is there, copper is there, many are there, cobalt, nickel, iron, many are there. Okay. Now, what are the properties? Now, first one, if you see the metals, usually they are hard solids. Metals usually, take the properties of metals. Usually they are hard solids. At room temperature they exist solids, you cannot cut it. Say copper I have, can you cut? Very hard it is, I cannot cut it. Or this is the iron, I cannot bend it, very hard it is. And this is copper, can you see reddish metal, it is copper. And we have thin, soft it is little bit, it is magnesium ribbon, magnesium cut into magnesium. And I will show it, little reactive metal. Okay, it is very, so one more metal I will show you, which usually you won't see it. This is very reactive metal, sodium. Can you see, children? It is very soft, you can cut it. I will keep it in the kerosene, very reactive metal it is. It will react very immediately, quickly with the air and water. So that is sodium metal. It is very soft. Usually they are hard solids, metals, but exception is there. Sodium metal, potassium, even the lithium. These are soft metals. You can cut it into pieces with the help of knife. Their density is very less. But if you take iron, lead, cobalt, etc., they have hard structure, solids, and their density is much more. Okay. Then if you see the surface of the metal, see how it is. Luster, shining surface they have. That is why the girls will wear gold ornament or silver ornament. The metallic structure they will use for their decorate their body ornaments, right? Because they have shining surface, and we call it as, they have the property called luster. Shining property. They have shining property. Now, if you take the metals, they have solids, I said, but one exception is there. One metal is in liquid state, present in liquid state at room temperature. That is, do you know? Yes? You will find it in thermometer, that metal in liquid state. Guess which one it is? Yes, some of you got the answer correctly. It is mercury. Mercury is present in liquid state. Mercury is in only this metal is in liquid state, then usually other metals are solids. And that is why if you see in the thermometer, they have used mercury which is in liquid form. If it is solid, it won't melt, because metals have the melting and boiling point very high value. Their melting point and boiling point is very high. So if you want to see your temperature to rise in the tube, it won't rise. It is hard solids if you use other metals. But mercury is in a liquid state, that the bulb of the thermometer, if you see shining surface, silver like white color, that is mercury. So it has a luster, because metals usually have luster. But when you use in our day-to-day life, like aluminum, if you use, or some of the copper, etc., it will lose its luster, because it will react with oxygen and the oxide layer will form. So it will make it lose its luster quite, right, isn't it? But if you use sandpaper and clean it, again it will get its luster back. That is the property of this one. Now, what about the utensils used in the kitchen in your houses? Usual it is stainless steel we will use. It is actually alloy. Alloy is mixture of metals or non-metals. And other than steel, if some of the houses they may use the copper vessel or aluminum vessel, they will use to heat the water or to cook the food. Instead of using other materials, we will use the metallic utensils in the kitchen. Do you know why we will use it? Metallic material. Why we have to use? They are, got the answer, children? They are good conductors of heat. If you just hold one copper wire or iron wire and keep it on the flame without any insulating coat, it is, your hand become, within 1 minute it become hot. Why? Heat will transfer, because it is a good conductor. You can try this. Take one any metallic wire without an insulating coat, insert some small piece of candle here, one end, and other end you have to heat it. You have to heat this side. Don't hold it directly by your hand. You will get heat onto your finger. Then if you heat it here, then slowly after few minutes later, the wax will melt here and drop here. Because when you heat it, the heat it will conduct very nicely here. It will good conductor of heat. Metals are good conductor of heat, and by that heat energy, the wax will melt here, the other end. We are heating this side, but it will melt here. It indicate it is a good conductor. Metals are good conductor of heat. And they are good conductors of electricity also. Not only heat, they are good conductors of electricity. That is why in all your houses, if you see the conducting wire in which will pass the current, it is either aluminium or copper wire. That is the property. They are good conductors of both heat as well as electricity. Then if you see this copper, it is, I have drawn into wire. We can draw into wires this structure. And other than metals, if you imagine the non-metal, sulfur is a non-metal. Okay, I will show you the sulfur. I brought it. Okay, I will show it. Is the sulfur powder. Sulfur powder, can you see? Now this sulfur, phosphorus in gaseous state, iodine, etc., they cannot be drawn into thin wires. Only alloys cannot be drawn into thin wires. Only metals can be drawn into thin wires. And this property we will call it as ductility. They have ductile property. The property of metals draw into thin wires is called ductility. And you have seen aluminium foil or aluminium plate, metallic plate, copper plate you have seen. Copper, what is that? It is the metal, you have to hammer it properly, then it will become a thin sheet. See, we have sheet like structure, copper sheet it is. Okay. Now how we can do that? By applying the force, by hammering this metal, one metal piece, copper, iron, whatever, if you apply the force, it won't break like a glass. It will become flattened. Continuously you have to apply the force with the hammer, then the piece of iron, it will become thin plate like structure. And this property you can beat into plate like structure. This property of metal is called malleability. You can beat into thin sheets. Metals you can beat into thin sheets. It is called malleability. You can draw into wires, and it is called ductility. And one more property is, usually metals are used to produce sound. You have seen, if any metallic object, if it drop to the ground or if beaten by a hammer or any other object, it will produce nice sound. That is the reason in school, if you go and see the bell, which is made up of, it is the metal they will use to make the bell. Or if in your houses while doing puja, etc., they will use the bell at puja time, isn't it? They will beat the thing, and that one is also made up of metallic, either alloy or metal they will use. So they will produce good sound. They are sonorous. They will produce good sound. Metals will produce good sound. These are some of the physical properties of the metals which we won't find it in non-metals. Okay. And there are some metals, exception is that if you take some metals, all the metals usually have high melting and boiling point, but there are some metals like gallium is there. If you take it in your hand, it will turn into liquid form. Okay, gallium, it is its melting point is very less compared to other metals. And if you take non-metals, which are the non-metals we can use, children, in our day-to-day life? Do you know? The air will breathe oxygen. Non-metals. Hydrogen. Oxygen. Sulfur. Iodine, carbon, which is very important, carbon. Many are there, but compared to metals, the number of non-metals is very less. They exist in solid form, liquid form, as well as gaseous form. Usually, much non-metals present in a gaseous state. One non-metal is present in liquid, that is bromine. The liquid non-metal is bromine. Liquid form is bromine. And gases are hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, fluorine. Fluorine is in a gaseous state. Phosphorus, sulfur, iodine, etc. They are in a solid state. Okay, and bromine is in liquid state. So all the three states you can find at room temperature. Non-metals exist, and non-metals they are not hard solids, they are very soft, and if you apply the force, they won't form either wire structure or they won't form sheet structure. If you apply the force, they are brittle, they break into pieces. Okay, and they are not used for conduct electricity or they won't conduct heat energy, etc. But in these non-metals also there are some exceptions, which some non-metals have properties which is as like that of metals. In non-metals, one particular carbon which will make the current flow through it. We will use it in a dry cell. What is that one? Got the answer, children? Even for writing, we will use that non-metal carbon. Do you know what is that? Graphite. Graphite is an allotropic form of carbon which will allow the current to pass through it. It is a good conductor of electricity, graphite. Okay, and you can try this if you have a cell at home, and if you use some wires and one small your writing pencil graphite is there, no, that one writing pencil, that inside that graphite part you have taken, keep it, and current will flow through that one. That one no need. If you hold this one, thrown away cell is there, if you cut it open and see, there is one black rod you can see. Through that current will flow inside the cell. It is graphite, carbon it is. Okay, so carbon exists in different forms, and one of the allotropic form is graphite. In the graphite, it will allow the current to flow through it. It is a good conductor of electricity. Okay, and one of the allotropic form of carbon is diamond. It is the hardest substance in the world. Diamond is the hardest substance, but usually you know the non-metals are very soft, and they are if you apply the force, they break it very easily. They are brittle. But in case of one allotropic form of carbon, that is diamond, it is the hardest substance, and its density also much more similar to that of metals. And they are not good conductors of heat. Metals are not, non-metals are not good conductors of electricity. They don't have ductile property, they don't have malleable property. The shining nature, they don't possess the non-metals like metals, but they have one exception. Again, here also one exception is there, the non-metal iodine. The non-metal iodine, it has got luster. Iodine, the non-metal iodine has got luster. So all this one or the other exception will be there in metals and non-metals. It is quite common. We cannot make any rules here, right? One will be exception will be there. So here in non-metal, iodine has luster, and graphite, the non-metal allotropic form of carbon, it is good conductor of electricity. And diamond, it is the hardest substance which is non-metal, and it won't draw into, it cannot draw into wire, or you cannot draw into sheet, non-metals. So this is the main important difference between metals and non-metals, physical difference, how they behave chemically, some of the properties of metals, chemical properties we will learn in the next class. So today mainly we have studied physical properties, the metals and non-metals. We will go through once again. Metals have good luster, they are good conductor of heat, they are good conductor of electricity, they are malleable, they are ductile, they are sonorous, they are hard solids, and some of the exceptions. Okay, and if you take non-metals, they exist all the three states in room temperature. They are brittle, they don't have good, they won't conduct electricity, they won't conduct heat, they won't show the property of malleability or ductility, etc. Okay, so that is about metals and non-metals, their properties. You read the textbook, children, and go through the points at home. Thank you.